Broncos are going to lose today. Never. It's nothing special. Small. 49ers are biased on KD. That is a stupid idea. No. If I can't take it when my team, I'll give the Colts the benefit of the doubt. Madden 21 was so bad.
I'm gonna so like I'm getting my body again.
Has he played? Has he started in the
Right to tell you.
Tag him on Instagram. Second, on all these tantrums. I could have. Monte Foreman coming out of Texas.
Truly appreciate y'all.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? That one dude, 2020, right here on the MI6 Sports Network. Episode 7, the 1-year anniversary show. Technically, it was yesterday, but power outages have been all over Texas and inconsistent, just like Isaiah with his sports teams. There's a lot. We're going over kind of what I've learned, kind of my favorite moments from the past year. But for anybody that didn't see, that you don't see your part in the video in terms of my favorite interviews, I apologize. I had to get as much as I could. But everybody that came on the show, it does mean a lot to me. But never forget, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to what we do every single week here. Again, Thursdays there aren't going to be an episode, potentially one on Saturday. If not, we got next weekend. Potentially a huge guest. Let's get into it. The Isaiah Roast Sesh that we do every single week. I wouldn't have a problem with Isaiah. I'd like to embarrass himself, but if he wouldn't put those videos out there, he would save himself embarrassment every single week, folks. But this is what Isaiah to be. This is exactly what Isaiah does. Some people should not be drinking. Some people should not be partying. And this is a perfect example of that. Folks, let's play this one more time and then we'll kind of go into it. That is a perfect and another example why some people shouldn't be partying, some people shouldn't be drinking, and some people should not be doing all those crazy things. Again, Isaiah. I don't know what kind of party. I know you're celebrating Chinese New Year, whatever you're doing. But jumping on the couch on 3-6 Mafia, I know you forget a lot of these things. You would rather these embarrassing videos not be out there. But Isaiah, it's not going to happen. You share the video to the group chat. I am going to save it, and we're going to put it on here for that one dude 2020 every single week. This next one here, again, is Isaiah from celebrating from the Chinese New Year or whatever he's doing for his culture. But, man, Isaiah, maybe you should lay off the virgin pina coladas or whatever you were drinking here, man. Isaiah, folks, some people, we appreciate Isaiah, but some people, obviously, I don't believe people should be drinking to get drunk, number one. But number two, you should not be drinking because clearly you love to embarrass yourself doing this. Luckily, he doesn't go drink a virgin pina colada and then go to McDonald's, because if Isaiah was out drinking with his friends and then went to walk to McDonald's, this is exactly what would happen here, folks.
Oh! I've McFallen! I'm sorry. I've McFallen.
This is what happens with Isaiah because he does go to McDonald's a lot. This next one, I believe, has to do with he talked all this smack in fantasy football but could not back it up. But, folks, let's get into this next one here. I don't have any context here, folks, so I really don't know what Isaiah was trying to do. But Isaiah, if you feel free to come on the show tonight, or anybody that's part of the MI6 Sports Network, give me some context. What in the daylights are you doing? We all make mistakes in fantasy football, but all I ask you, Isaiah, if you're watching this, if you're gonna talk smack for fantasy football, if you're gonna talk smack for fantasy basketball, you better make sure we don't have it recorded.
Me, Khaled. I honestly think that I will cakewalk through everyone in this league. And
Isaiah said he'd think he would cakewalk through the entire fantasy basketball league for the MI6 Sports Network. Now, mind you here, folks, Isaiah is that same person that is asking Callan, the chairman and CEO of the Fantasy Basketball League, to change the settings for the Fantasy Basketball League to be a 16 playoff because he quickly realized after drafting Kevin Love in the 6th or 7th round that it was not a cakewalk. He talked all that smacking. If you're that confident, Isaiah, in fantasy basketball, if you're that confident in anything like that, at least wait to the finish or make sure you can guarantee and produce results because you backed it up. You could not back it up. And now you're getting demolished. And now you're trying to ask Callum McClure to adjust the rules in fantasy basketball just because your team you couldn't draft. Again, mine's not a draft. I wasn't trying to play, but your fantasy basketball team has to be insanely ridiculous. But this next one here, folks, Isaiah accidentally sent to the wrong group chat. But let's see.
Hi, Mary. How you doing today? You doing good? Look, it's a beautiful Monday morning.
Folks, I don't know what to say to that one. Isaiah loves to embarrass himself. I don't know why he's talking to a teddy bear or doing what he is doing. But Isaiah, whenever you come on the show tonight, any of these videos that we've used for the Isaiah Roast Sesh, please come and explain yourself. Because this one,
me, Khaled.
any of these that you're embarrassing yourself, please give us some context to this situation here, ladies and gentlemen. This next one here, I believe, had to do with fantasy basketball, but again, Isaiah, come on the show and give us some context on this video right here for the Isaiah Roast Sesh Part 6 and the final one before we go into our next few topics. Just based on that video, just watching it, I can promise y'all, Isaiah was not happy. I guarantee it. Fantasy football or fantasy basketball, because he talks the trash and cannot back it up. He overhyped my Denver Broncos in so many things. Again, James Gonzalez, that was Isaiah. Let me play that one more time, just for you, my man. Mind you, James Gonzalez, before we move on, this is also the same Isaiah.
Hi, Mary. How you doing today? You doing good? Look, it's a beautiful Monday morning.
Isaiah, I don't know what else to say, but let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, before this last one, before embarrassing Isaiah, Isaiah is the same person that said whoever wins in the fantasy basketball league will have an asterisk next to it. Like, the asterisk means it's not as credible because it's a lesser game season. But this is the same guy that asked Callan to change the fantasy basketball league to a 16 playoff so it could be easier for his team, despite their non-success, to make the MI6 fantasy basketball team. Isaiah, please come to the show at any point to explain yourself because you have so much to say. And Isaiah, talking about you in fantasy basketball, all I have to say is your takes and everything you say is. But folks, done with the quick Isaiah Roast Sesh. Let's really get to the main part that I was really looking forward to. We've had many amazing interviews from the past year. And again, even though I do not show y'all's part of the interview in the clip, get as much as we could. But thank you to each and every individual person. Thank you to Casey McKinney, Xavier Williams, Adam Rich, Rob Parker, Carson Palmer, Brian Finley, Paul Gallant, Maverick Pollock. I also want to thank Benjamin Albright for coming on the show and many others coming into the future for coming onto the show. And thank you all so much, really, from the bottom of my heart for coming onto the show for that one, dude. From that one, dude, 2020. But with that being said, I have about 6-minute clips that's going to be kind of broken up of some of my favorite moments from the past year. And what I really hope that y'all get from this is if anybody that wants to be in the sports industry, do not give up. It's not a 9 to 5, but I promise y'all, in the end, it's going to be worth it. Enjoy.
Said, well, if I raise the money to pay for the printing cost, will you let me do it? And he said, if you pay for it, okay, you can do it. I was like, I'm 16. How am I competition? Inside the envelope from Rupert Murdoch's office, guess what? There was a check for $50 to start my newspaper in high school. And my boss right now is Rupert Murdoch at Fox. Believe in yourself. Don't let people tell you you can't. Can't means unable to.
Honored and blown away. But if I don't, man, I've got my health. I've got a beautiful family. I got my parents still. Like we're blessed, man. We've got 4 beautiful kids.
Yeah. I really am. Like, hear me out. I am excited about my brother.
A fan base that knows what you're doing before they're gonna be willing to reach out.
I've seen someone with the drive and passion to make it in the industry, like I've seen with you.
Difficulties, and also if me or someone else is busy and can't come on the show, John Alcorn comes off the bench and fills in for us and does a phenomenal job on the programs. It's true. And I look forward to working with John on whatever, projects, whatever shows that we've got coming up, because John is truly a rising star in this industry. He knows his stuff. He's not afraid to go at people, and he's a guy that you want to go to bat for. And I'm so thankful that he's part of our network.
Like, we're very, very, very
done. That people want to hear about. Normally, that's what we're sort of pushing is, hey, give us a call. Here's our number. It's not. We've got a few staples. We got a couple guys.
This last one right here is basically a letter that I kind of wrote to Kobe Bryant last year of the unfortunate passing. And the reason why I'm showing you this, y'all, and the reason why I'm showing you these clips is because I really hope that anybody that inspires to work in the sports industry, that wants to have their own football show, that wants to have anything of that sort, I really hope this does inspire people. Kobe Bryant inspired me to be more interested in sports and to really have that Mamba mentality to work really hard, because I think people need to understand this, and I'll elaborate this one. You have to work really hard. It's not like you can work 20 to 30 hours whenever you want. You can work 2 to 4 this time or a 9 to 5. The hours can be random, the hours can be a lot. But what's going to separate people in the sports industries, people that are doing it for the money, the fame, the riches, the win, whatever else. And there's going to be people like me and other people. Again, I'm not here to be prideful. I'm here to swallow my pride. I hope this is a thing where I'm doing it because I love it. Number one, what God's called me to do, and just do what I love, talking sports. I love talking football. I love talking different things here. I really want people to understand this here, folks, is that my first ever football game, and Chris knows this. He's the cousin Chris checking in. What is up, my man? I hope, again, you're doing well, and everybody else that's tuning in, Jason Sauce and Chardell. But Chris knows this. My first ever football game, sports game, was the 2006 Rose Bowl. For some reason, I don't know if it was what part of the game from that moment forward, since the 2006 Rose Bowl, when Vince Young scored that game-winning touchdown against Matt Leinart in the USC Trojans. Again, that's the same team that has Ken Slovis, who Isaiah does like. No offense, Isaiah, but from that moment forward, from that game right there, the passion, the fire, and energy to really want to learn more about football. I was getting to it a year later, interviewing these people. Folks, this is not like you can interview them like you email your school teacher. This is really, really sometimes hard to find how to reach out to these people. But I will tell you, anybody that wants to reach out to these people, if you really want to talk to these people, if you really have an interest to talk to them, and make sure when you're talking to these people, have the right motives. Don't be doing it just to increase your views or increase your shares or comments. That should not matter. But if you really want to reach out to these people, and you really want to get to know these people, you will find a way. There's been so many late nights this past year, and there's been a lot of early supporters, and people know, obviously, if you look at my early stuff on the That One Dude 2020 Facebook page, lack of a better word, the stuff was not very good. You could see me starting going, what is the about this? The other dude? Learning how to communicate is one of the things I've learned this past year, is communicating too fast, right? Communicating too slow. It's really learning how to emphasize your point. It is really great to talk about the stats. It's really great to talk about the numbers. But beyond that, if you have a topic, oh, a quarterback threw for 20 for 25, 375 yards, 4 TDs, and no interceptions. That's great. You can talk about the numbers. That's the exact stat that he did. Or break that down to another point. What really happened on third down? What did he really do on second and long? What was his pocket presence? Really, what was his poise? The numbers can matter, but beyond the numbers, did they win that game? He could have 375 yards passing and 4 TDs, but did the team win the game? Did he win? Did he make the key throws? A lot of those coming up with those topics on the spot. Sometimes when you're in the sports industry, what I've learned early on is what I used to do early on. Again, I have a lot to work on. I'm not here to pretend like I've made it in the industry yet. Is how to communicate with people and how to communicate my point. At first, I would just talk about the stats, and that is it. I wouldn't improv. That's the thing. Thank you, God, for giving me that point. It's improving kind of what not improving your whole script, not improving the whole show. But let's say you talk about a game, like say the Cowboys or the Giants or the Broncos and the Raiders, and you talk about the numbers. Improv some of the things you're put in your script. Beyond that, what's the score? What are the numbers? That's great, but what is this? How does this affect each team moving forward? How does this affect how the team's mentality is going to the playoffs? Does this increase or decrease the team's playoff chances? So many different things we could really think of in that. And those are some of the things that I've really learned this past year being in the sports industry. First one here, obviously, as you saw, again, Casey McKinney, who has his own football show. He came on, really was the first guest I've ever had on. It was really cool to interview him because he's had his own sports show for a while and really learning how to communicate with people. I think one of the biggest things, despite how tired you are, like I said, this is not just a 9 to 5 job, is consistently coming out with that content, consistently coming out with that fan base. That's going to be really a thing you're going to have to do early on. It's not like I'm making money at this just yet. I'm not making money on this yet. Right now, I'm working my full-time job, and I'm doing almost this full-time. You gotta love it for this industry. It's not about the money or the views or the likes, because then you're gonna create burnout. If you have people over here that are doing it because they love it, no matter the hours, no matter the time at night, no matter how tired you are away from work, you're gonna want to put in the work. Casey McKinney showed me a lot about that, and that does mean a lot. The next one we had here, I wasn't able to get that clip in because StreamYard just has its restrictions, is Adam Rich, who I met him on a Facebook page last year. Again, I don't know if you see this video, but I will share it with him, and I'll text him after the show. But he really showed me behind the scenes of, because I'll be honest with y'all here, June of last year, I almost quit the entire sports show. I almost quit trying to be in the entire sports industry here, folks, just because the mindset was in the wrong direction. But I was talking about what I love, but I almost quit. But what Adam really did, because he's been doing podcasting for a while, again, Really Rich Podcast, I'll put the link down below after the show ends, is he was being honest with me. And that's really what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. And that's sometimes what happens is that, you hear what you want to hear, but does that help you grow in the sports industry? This industry that Callan has said time and time again, because he's in this industry. It is cutthroat. The industry takes and the industry gives. And sometimes early on, the industry takes, the industry takes, the industry takes from you. What is your motive behind that? Why are you in the sports industry? Are you doing what you love? Some of these questions Adam Rich was asking me, and I appreciate the honesty, and it really does mean a lot that Adam Rich came on my show and found this really great and honest friendship and brotherhood, that he was showing me what really matters. Why are you doing it? And don't be doing it for the views and followers. The next one we had on here was as you saw here, Rob Parker, who I know people have their own opinion about him, but I give him the benefit of the doubt every single time, because he took time out of his busy schedule after just being on the herd to take time out of his busy schedule to come to my show. A guy that he does not know. He does not know me. He responded to when I found a way to message him. This goes back. If you really want to talk to these people and you have the right motive, you will find a way to message them, folks. He took time out of his day to talk sports, to talk football, to talk basketball. I know me and him disagree on certain topics, but that's okay. I have no problem talking about sports or talking about football or basketball or maybe a little bit of EA. Again, EA, you blocked me from emailing you. It's okay to disagree on certain sports or certain football topics. That's the nature of the sports industry. That's why we have what we call debates or conversations. He took time out of his day. He's taken time many, many times in DMs to talk sports with me or talk live about me. So I'm always going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Again, people can have their own opinion that they want about Rob Parker, but he took time out of his busy schedule. He took time to talk with me about sports and a lot of other things. So to me, that does mean a lot. And when you're contributing to my sports career and you're giving me the opportunity to talk to somebody that I appreciate, I give you the benefit of the doubt every single time, and I always will. Again, thank you, Casey McKinney. Thank you, Adam Rich. And thank you so much, Rob Parker, for coming onto the show. The next one you saw in those quick clips, and I showed y'all them, really making this quick favorite moments from the past year, but in the 4 to 5 minute clip is, I really hope it inspires people. The next guest, the reason why I'm talking about it is I want to go in depth of really how it happened, because I really hope, if y'all get nothing else from this, that it does inspire people. And if you want to be in the sports industry, I might say do what I did, but one thing, you better, even if you're tired, work on your content, work on your show, because you never know what can happen, ladies and gentlemen. Can start the videos back in March. Who knew that I was going to be here on the MI6 Sports Network tonight talking with y'all and Martin? What's up, y'all? What's up, everybody? What's up, Shardo? Chris, the greatest game ever played. I couldn't agree more. Just being on this network, who knew? This based off of one Facebook message back in March of last year. That's one of the frustrating things, and that's one of the beauty things about the sports industries. We never know what could happen based off a message, based off a DM. One message or one DM or one email could change your career in a positive way, and that's one of the things that happened here with Carson Palmer, a guy who obviously I rooted for in the NFL, did some things with the Cardinals. Obviously, some people may have made some rumors up about it when Joe Burrow was going to get drafted in 2020, saying that he told Joe Burrow not to play for the Bengals. Again, that was not true in any way, shape, or form. So that was not true. And when I have people on here, folks, I want to hear their side of the story. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And want to care more about growing my followers. Because again, that's great. My motive for me, number one, or number two, my second motive here is I want to build friendships in the sports industry. I care more about building friendships than I do dollars in my bank account. I care more about building friendships in the sports industry than I do zeros in my bank account or I do followers or comments or views or likes. Those are great. I'm thankful for everyone that has viewed the show. Let me not discredit that. The fact of the matter is I care more about building friendships in the sports industry than I do growing zeros in my bank account. So really getting to talk to Carson Palmer to hear his side of his career. And some people maybe weren't the biggest fan of Chad Johnson, not necessarily what he did on the field, because what he did on the field was phenomenal, but maybe his antics or things like that. And sometimes I've learned, again, there's a lot of great sports media people that I've interviewed, but the fact of the matter, though, is there are some, again, I'm not saying I'm singling anybody out. I'm saying what I've learned is looking up articles from whoever. Some sports media people like to dramatize things, like to create a false narrative about a ex or current NFL player. And for me, I don't want to do that. If I have a question about a player that I heard from the media, I'm not going to believe what the media said. Again, let's say the media is right, fine. But I at least want to go to the source himself and get the truth. I want to get to the truth here. That's what we really want to do. That's what I want to do on That One Dude 2020. I want to get to the truth on every time I have a guest interview. In terms of there's a story somebody made up, look, dude, I don't believe it, but I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. I want to give you the floor. That's what I want to create. I want to create friendships in this industry, not zeros in my bank account, not followers on an Instagram page. I care more about building friendships in the sports industry. But really getting to interview Carson Palmer, it was really cool, folks, because when you get to interview somebody you played as in Madden, when you get to interview somebody that you watched play in the NFL, that to me is like a dream come true. It is like a childhood dream. Now, as I would say, a lot of people want to interview, but this Carson Palmer interview meant a lot. Not because he played in the NFL, not because of his status was with USC when he won the Heisman Trophy, all these things, getting first round pick, with the Bengals and Mike Brown, is because seeing a guy I look up to and what he did on and off the field meant a lot. And getting to interview him and him responding as quickly as he did just shows that, like, his character. Again, if you're in the sports industry and requesting for somebody to come on the show, do not expect a quick response. I can promise you that. Anybody that's in the part of the MI6 group chat, you can promise that a lot of times if you're looking for a big guest or somebody that you're really interested in, it's going to take some time to hear back. But another thing is patience. Because you really want that guest, sometimes it's going to take patience, and sometimes you think, oh, they never read it, or they read it, or they didn't respond. Maybe they did, or maybe they didn't. But do not be afraid to shoot your shot. Do not be afraid to shoot your shot in terms of reaching out to that guest. We'll be right back after 30 seconds. This is That One Dude 2020, the 1 year anniversary show. And the reason why I'm talking about each interview is because I want to explain what it meant and kind of inspire people that really want to be in this industry. I really hope this does inspire people. The next one we had, of course, was some of them weren't able to show was Maverick Pollock. Again, young guy getting in the sports industry. It does mean a lot when I was with the previous sports network, but it really was cool to get a younger guy's perspective on how the sports industry is. Again, another one again from ESPN was Paul Gallant, as you saw here in this.
Like
that guy right there who took time out of his busy day, who works for ESPN at Seattle. When you watch these sports people on TV, sometimes we don't know what the real personality is like. But I can tell you from talking to Paul on interview and behind the scenes, he is who he is on camera for his sports show. I can vouch for him. He's such a genuine good guy, and I can tell he loves what he does. And it was an honor to interview him, and I hope in the future I can interview him again. The next one we had here was Brian Finley. Man, this guy, I can say all of these together. I don't have any favorites because they're all my favorite. Brian Finley is just one of those guys you want to be friends with, not because of what or who he works for, but how he is as a personality. He's so genuine and it's so kind, and it's very rare for what I've seen so far and who I've talked to, how genuine these people could be. Because sometimes they have this persona on TV, on social media, and then behind the scenes, it is totally different. But I can tell you, Brian Finley, Paul Gallant, and a lot of these people are what they say, not just on their show, but behind the scenes here. Ladies and gentlemen, again, that one dude 2020 here tonight on the MS6 Sports Network. Back again. Sorry, just one more second after 15 seconds. Just bear with me. It's going to be a good show. Again, that one, dude, 2020 here for the 1-year anniversary special. Again, thank y'all so much. Now we're getting to some football talk here. Again, my predictions that I had from the 2020 NFL season, some were good, some were ugly, and some I was proud of, and some I really wish I could have changed. But again, unlike Isaiah Leong, I'm not going to change my sports predictions just because the year is over. I don't change my mind. If I'm wrong about a sports take, I can at least admit it here. But the sports take I have for this team, we're going to go by each NFL division. First one I had here in the AFC East is, of course, the Buffalo Bills are winning the AFC East. This really wasn't a surprise. Even before the Stephon Diggs trade, you saw what Josh Allen did in 2019 with Cole Beasley and John Brown. Not terrible receivers, but receivers that weren't starstruck. They weren't our number one. They weren't our number two. Maybe not even a number 3 receiver. Saw what he did, improving on passing just a little bit. Mobility, I saw that play against the Vikings, I believe in week 5 or week 8. Correct me on the week if I'm wrong. Seeing his mobility, seeing his leadership, seeing his mental and physical toughness, this guy is the future for the Buffalo Bills. And seeing what they've done this past year, ladies and gentlemen, it's really not a surprise. Again, the record I had 11-5, 12-4, but they went 13-3, won the AFC East, was one game away from a Super Bowl. The future is bright for the Buffalo Bills. Are there some questions? Without a doubt, but it shouldn't be a surprise, at least in my opinion, that the Buffalo Bills won the division, and that is a thing that I had to say. This is not a surprise, but we have a guest here on the show. What is up, my man?
What up, man? How you doing, man?
Did you get a haircut?
No, I didn't get a haircut.
Okay, you need to explain yourself on one of these videos.
Hold on. Before you get to those videos, I just gotta say, reason why I am wearing this hat is because, like,
New Mexico State. Oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't get a haircut. See, I just had to wear this hat because the New Mexico State Aggies are beginning their football season this upcoming Saturday. They're doing spring season instead of fall season, so I gotta, throw my support around the Aggies. And second thing I gotta say is Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the best chocolates in the world. I love them so damn much. But go ahead, John. Go ahead. Happy 1-year anniversary, by the way.
Dude, and like I was telling people here, I mean, you can vouch for this, like we've done behind the scenes. If you really want to reach out to somebody and talk to them, number one, obviously have the right motives, but you'll find a way. We're not going to tell you how we did it. You got to find your way to do it. But I can tell you from experience, like I was just telling, interviewing Carson Palmer, because this is the guy that I played at is in Madden. This is the guy that I watched on TV and kind of showing these clips, people like I was showing here real quick. Again, I'm not going to show the whole 4 to 5 minute video again, but this right.
Honored and blown away.
I really hope that just showing that real quick is that it inspires people, because people need to understand that this is a sports industry. Well, until you make it, you're going to be working a full-time job. You could be having your own place. So it's not like you do 1 or 2 podcasts and then boom, you're this Ben Mallet guy, you're Brian Finley, or Rob Parker, Carson Palmer, any of these guys. I mean, bro, I'm working full-time. You're going to be working full-time, and it's a lot of work. People need to understand you're going to be tired. Believe me, I've been tired many times after work. I've told you what's happened at work before. It's been a lot of crazy things, but I promise y'all, it's worth it. But I did tell people, Isaiah, on the show tonight that we showed some people shouldn't be drinking. I don't advocate for people to get drunk, but if you were to have a virgin pina colada and walk to McDonald's, this is exactly what would happen.
Oh! I've McFallen! I'm sorry. I've McFallen.
In here, folks, it wasn't that she fell, is what she said was hilarious here. But again, Isaiah, I was just talking about some of the predictions I had from the past season, what went right and what went wrong. And unlike one of my co-hosts here, Isaiah, we won't say names, Isaiah, when I'm wrong about it, I will admit that I'm wrong. First one here shouldn't be a lot of shocker to people. Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East. Of course, going to the AFC West. This goes real cringeworthy real quick because Isaiah was the guy. And as much as I would love for this to happen, Drew Lock winning NFL MVP. He had the Broncos winning the AFC West, because somehow, some way, Isaiah does not fear Patrick Mahomes. And folks, my Broncos went 5-11 this year. Did I pick them to go to the extra wildcard spot versus maybe the Raiders? That I could say yes, but so many things wrong with the Denver Broncos. But I'm so happy here, folks. Carson Wentz is not coming to the Denver Broncos. Thank you, Chicago. Thank you, Callan. Oh, wait, sorry, I had one of those random hiccups here. But, folks, as we kind of really get into it, before we really get into continuing what I'm talking about, what we were really doing is the reason why I was talking about breaking down part of the interviews that I had on the show with like Carson Palmer or Rob Parker, any of these people. It's like, I know some people may not like Rob Parker, but what I can say about him is that he gave the benefit of the doubt. He gave me the benefit. He took time out of his day after just not even 20 minutes before he was on the herd. After that, he took time, busy show, take time out of his day to come to my show after nearly just getting off being on the herd with Colin Coward and all those people. Coming to my show, talking sports behind the scenes. They're willing to meet, talk, and maybe meet up or whatever. Just for me, I'm like we've had guests on that maybe some people don't like, but I'm more than happy to give him the benefit of the doubt, just because he's taking time to respond to DMs, messages, whatever, and I have no problem giving him the benefit of the doubt. But like I say, with your sports takes and certain NFL and NBA players, this is all I have to say. Overrated, like you know who you're talking about when you want Josh Rosen to be your Valentine. Yes, I said that right here, ladies and gentlemen. Here, but again, Jason Gonzalez comes in to say, love these programs and their cast here and the Ben Mallet Show. And Brian Finley does the updates on it. Again, Brian Finley does a phenomenal job. Would love to meet up with him one day, see if we got any comments that I'm missing. But again, thank you all so much for coming on tonight. That one, dude, 2021 year anniversary. Again, we're talking about now some of the wrong predictions that I have. The next one here was a little bit of a mixture, but I'm not surprised. I had in the AFC North I had the Browns and the Ravens playing in the extra wild card spot. I had the Steelers missing the playoffs. Obviously, that was wrong. But at the same time, the way they were playing, they probably should have missed the playoffs. Who did you pick for the AFC North?
I picked the Cleveland Browns actually to win that division, and I know a lot of people when I first made that pick, they were like, "Oh my gosh, Isaiah, you got to go get drug tested immediately because you are either drunk or you're high or whatever." But the reason why I made that pick was because the Browns, they have like a lot of talent, obviously, with Odell, with Jarvis Landry, the two-headed monsters at running back with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and their defense is loaded as well. I just thought that with Kevin Stefanski coming in, I thought he was going to run more of the Vikings, Kyle Shanahan type of offense where they wouldn't just put all that pressure on the quarterback. They would hand the ball to the running back, which would alleviate some of the pressure off of Baker Mayfield so he doesn't have to do all the work for the Cleveland Browns. And I thought that would be a fantastic offense for Baker Mayfield and for the Cleveland Browns. And I thought they would thrive in that offense. And I thought that the Browns would surprise a lot of people. And, kudos to Kevin Stefanski. Kudos to the Cleveland Browns. They did shock a lot of people. Unfortunately, I believe they finished either second or third in that division. But my pick was actually very close to happening, believe it or not, because I think the Browns only finished like a game back of Pittsburgh for that division. If Pittsburgh lost in week 17 to, I believe, not week 17, week 16. If they had lost to the Colts and Cleveland beat the Jets, then Cleveland and Pittsburgh would have played on week 17, probably on Sunday Night Football for a winner take all to see who wins the division.
That wasn't, unlike most of your takes, that one wasn't too far off because, again, I'm high on Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and like I tell people, this shouldn't be much of a shocker. Let the Browns win the football. Let Baker Mayfield do some play action. But without a doubt, the Browns have a bright future. And the Steelers, the divorce could be ugly. And where are the kids going? Are they going with mom? Are they going with dad? A lot of that, we have no idea. The AC South, again, I had Tennessee. But this still raises a concern moving forward into next year, into 2021. Isaiah and everybody else that's watching is that the Tennessee Titans are a one-dimensional offense. As much as Ryan Tannehill is a phenomenal quarterback, but the fact of it is, when you stop Derrick Henry, this team is as bland as Isaiah's food taste, or this team is as bland as pecan-flavored butter pecan ice cream. When you stop Derrick Henry, this offense has no value. Despite Corey Davis, Devontae Foreman, Giannu Smith, and A.J. Brown, they can't do anything without Derrick Henry, and it's proven. It's proven last year. They paid him, and now this year it happened again. And there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable conversations going into 2021. What is the identity of the offense? Are they going to be stuck in their own head? Are they going to be stubborn like a soccer mom? What are they really going to do? Do they care more about winning championships? Do they care more about getting Ryan Tannehill to be the bread and butter of the offense? So it's really one of those where it's Titans have a really uncomfortable spot moving forward. But at the NFC least or the NFC East here, folks, we knew their injuries were going to happen. We knew that, but to the certain extent, was truly a surprise. What the Washington won the division, not necessarily because they were the best team, but they did have the best defense in the division and very great defense in the league. Just ask Tom Brady in the wild card round. I had now, folks, and Christy's gonna like this. What I have to say, I did pick Dallas to win the division because I was not sold on Carson Wentz staying healthy. I was not sold on Daniel. Daniel Jones did have some positivity. He had nearly set the rookie record for passing touchdowns in 2019, but there were still some issues, just like what they didn't do with Eli. Despite that defense, despite what he had on offense, what is something they haven't addressed before Eli is the offensive line, and that was a main factor. Saquon Barkley had a torn ACL. He was out for the year. You had Sterling Shepard. All those guys weren't really able to get it done on the offensive side on the ball. But in the NFC least, who did you really pick to win that division?
Wow. So I picked Dallas to win that division. That it was, I think, coming into the season for me, it was a no-brainer because I thought that Eagles Carson Wentz just hadn't been able to stay healthy for the last 2-3 years, and I just really didn't like the Eagles because their offensive line also couldn't stay healthy. Their wide receivers couldn't stay healthy. Their whole team was just marred by injuries, like coming into this past season. So I didn't trust them. The New York Giants, I don't believe Daniel Jones is the guy. I like what Joe Judge is building in the Big Apple, but I just don't like what it's the quarterback. Quarterback is the most important position in the NFL, and you gotta have a good quarterback in order to win in the NFL. And I just don't believe Daniel Jones is the guy. But funny story about my pick,
Don't change it.
Yeah, I'm not changing it. But even though I picked Dallas to win the NFC East, so when we were doing our NFC preview show back in early September, me, Callan, and Jonathan Mathis on Wild Sports Talk, what was really funny was I started my little rant on the NFC East by saying, like, when Callan asked me, Isaiah, who you got to win the NFC East, like in the beginning, I picked the Washington football team, but that was a joke. Nope. Yes, go back to the archives and see.
Doesn't matter.
I said this.
What did you put in Pick'em? What did you put in Pick'em?
No. Hold on, let me finish. So I was like this. I was like, Callan, I am going to take the Washington football team, and then Callan plays that gif of him walking off the set, and then after that, I was like, I'm just kidding. By the way, I'm just kidding. There's no way I'm gonna pick the Washington football team, most dysfunctional organization in the NFL, and then I go with Dallas, and after the whole season transpires, right? The team that I picked in the beginning, the team that I said was so dysfunctional, and I was just picking them as a joke, they end up winning the NFC East. So, can you believe my luck, man? I mean,
it's not really luck when you said that it was a joke, so you can't really say you picked them. But nice try here. But this next one, though, this is probably the toughest division in football this past year, the NFC West. I had the Arizona Cardinals getting the extra wildcard spot. Again, I still picked Seattle to win the division. Not a surprise, but there are a lot of conversations. There are a lot of rumors that I will be talking soon, hopefully with another guest I told you about, that Seattle does have a lot of struggles moving forward with the offensive line being the most sacked quarterback in the past 9 seasons, 394 sacks, folks. 394. That's even with the Legion of Boom. That's even with Tyler Lockett. That's even with all these other weapons that you've had over the years. So buyer beware. Offensive line is extremely important, especially you can ask Patrick Mahomes, you can ask Tom Brady, you can ask so many guys. Offensive line does matter. Again, the Rams did make the playoffs, but they traded Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford. So the expectations, in my genuine opinion, is going to be Super Bowl appearance or bust. Because when you trade that many picks for a guy who I'm very high on, you have to get to the Super Bowl. It's just not an option. Next one here, the NFC North. Shouldn't be a surprise that I was right on this one. I picked the Green Bay Packers. Again, Chicago, they have a lot of drama like they do on some of those boring Kim K, whatever those boring shows are on TV. Isaiah would probably know that. He watches some of that and The Ball in the Family and American Idol and all those other shows. Minnesota Vikings, I had going 5-11, 6-10. I was a little bit off on that, but I was right. I'm missing the playoffs here. Obviously, there's a lot of questions. You traded Yannick Ngakoue, and then you traded him now to the Baltimore Ravens. Moving forward, there are a lot of uncomfortable conversations the Minnesota Vikings have to have. Who's to blame? Who is not? Again, let's do this here. We'll be moving forward. This next one I have is the NFC South. I picked the Bucs to win a division, and I was wrong because the Saints won a division. But like I said, folks, when you poke the bear, when you put Tom Brady up against the wall, it's going to happen. Yes, initially the Saints won a division, but the Saints got exposed. I try to tell people, when the Saints beat the Bucs both times in the regular season, look at Drew Brees' numbers even before he was injured. They weren't good. He was not able to throw the football deep downfield like he used to. So I tried to tell people that. But again, They didn't want to hear it. They said, "Oh, I'm just doing this with Tom Brady. I'm just trying to kiss up to him and come on the show." No, I can appreciate a guy that proves me wrong time and time again. Unlike one of my fellow co-hosts here, Isaiah. We won't say any names, Isaiah. Hope you understand, Isaiah, on that one right there. But again, I had the Bucks winning division. I was wrong. The Green Bay Packers winning division. Not a surprise. Washington was a surprise, but that defense, man, there is something about that special here, folks. Next one here is, for me, is going to be some of the biggest surprises or non-surprises from the past year. Because again, we had the COVID-19 last year that happened and kind of shocked the world. One I would really be surprised about, but not really, the Philadelphia Eagles signing Carson Wentz to that fat deal, knowing that he was not the guy, and obviously they knew sooner or later Howie Roseman was going to find a way, give an excuse, give a reason to fire Doug Peterson. But this goes back on the organization. I was really surprised that you fired Doug Peterson. I was really surprised that Carson Wentz is going to be traded after this year, but at the same time, not everything in the NFL, now with every single franchise, what we see per game, per week, in week 1 through week 17 is not always what we see in real life, just like with TV shows here. The next one, and I'm really surprised here, is Cam Newton playing as bad as he did. Now, I'm not saying he was going to win MVP and be in the MVP conversation, but they had that solid offensive line. They had the weapons may not be the best, the running backs, and they're hit or miss. But I was surprised that Cam Newton played as bad as he did. Maybe he's not 100% healthy. Maybe not. Again, I'm not saying he is or isn't. We have no proof. He could be going to Washington with Ron Rivera. But again, we had him, one of the players past year did have some issues, so hopefully that are well. But next one here really is not a surprise, but it's Judgment Day here for the 49ers. They are done with Jimmy Garoppolo. I knew I wanted him to be healthy because I was so sold on him, because when he's healthy, the numbers were phenomenal. Again, it shouldn't be a surprise. But this next one here, folks, I called it back in November. J.J. Watt is going to demand a release. J.J. Watt is going to be released by the Texans. In this past week and a half, J.J. Watt got released by the Texans. Now, Chris, if I can find your comment here, yes, my cousin Chris, I try to tell you, Deshaun Watson is going to be gone. Again, this is using Brandon, but Chris, folks, I want to make this clear. Now that J.J. Watt is gone, the heart and soul of the Houston Texans, who do you think is going to be next, whether it's this year or next year? Deshaun Watson will not finish his career with the Houston Texans. Mark my word, record this with your phone, whatever. Deshaun Watson will not finish his career with the Houston Texans, because the brotherhood that he had with DeAndre Hopkins, what we had with J.J. Watt, just was there. And when you break up that brotherhood wants to stay together. But when you break it up, a lot of emotions are running through the window.
So true, John. He is not going to finish his career with the Houston Texans. And my prediction on where Deshaun Watson ends
It's not the 49ers.
up for next season is he's going to retire and be the head coach of my New Mexico State Aggies. Let's go, Deshaun Watson.
I'm going to clip that after the show and share that with your friends. I can't believe the monstrosity that you said that Deshaun Watson is going to retire and coach New Mexico State Aggies. Not even anybody that lives there would want to coach the New Mexico State Aggies. But really, why I'm breaking this down here, folks, is that when J.J. Watt back in October, November had that press conference talking, we said we don't play with passion. We don't play with energy. We don't do this. You see how pissed off he was. What does that tell you already? Again, we can talk about whatever is in Chaplin or not. Again, I'm not here to dog on him or anybody else because I don't know the facts. But what I can say is this is an organization that doesn't care about the fans. This is an organization, time and time again, that put up with Bill O'Brien. Again, the reason why I go back all the way to last year is because this is the beginning of the end of the Houston Texans. You traded away DeAndre Hopkins. I said sooner or later, something's going to happen. The Houston Texans are going to go downhill. You trade away DeAndre Hopkins. You got all these picks. This next year, this past season, You fired Bill O'Brien after y'all start, I believe, 0-5 in the NFL with Deshaun Watson having a MVP caliber like year, 48, I believe 4,836 yards. So a career year in every category, a career low in interceptions. You fire Bill O'Brien. You start to see David Johnson wasn't that same guy. You start to see Brandon Cooks. There's a reason why. Again, as much as we don't want to hear about it, there's a reason why he was traded 3 times. Concussion issues. People criticize Bill Belichick for trading away Brandon Cooks after one season. Concussion, and the Rams know about that. And then again, you see all this other. Will Fuller gets down. Now, J.J. Watt gets released. Folks, this just tells me that maybe there's more to it, or maybe there's not. Well, what I want to break this down is that J.J. Watt, Sean Watson, those three together, and DeAndre Hopkins had a brotherhood, and I talk about the brotherhood in sports is so much stronger than people really realize. Like, I know we all joke around with each other behind the scenes or anything else, but that's a brotherhood. Unless you play football either in the spree league or for your school, there's something about it. And when that brotherhood gets breaking up because either you got traded or something else, that's going to cause nerves. And there's been so many rumors with the organization how Deshaun Watson did not get any input, or they acted like they wanted to hear his input, and that really set him off here. And that's just many more reasons why. Houston Texans released J.J. Watt. When's the last time we saw a star defensive player, the heart and soul of the city, to demand a trade or demand a release and actually got it? But breaking news, Isaiah overhyped the Phoenix Suns. And what did they do tonight? The Phoenix Suns blew a 24-point lead to the Brooklyn Nets. All I have to say is overrated. But back to the topic here, folks, is that
you see this bottle right here?
What about
it's not water. It is champagne, ladies and gentlemen.
Isaiah, you couldn't even handle a fruity, girly beer. So don't even.
I am getting drunk off champagne.
If you're getting drunk on my show, you're off. Don't
broke my heart yet again.
But really, folks, I think this is going to be stories with moving forward. We're going to hear more and more about this. J.J. Watt got released. What is going on in the organization? And this is really why one of the guests I told Isaiah about, I really want to have him on hopefully very soon, because I know the area that he lives at here, folks, because this is a thing we're going to hear about time and time again. It's going to unfold. Whenever Deshaun Watson gets traded, this whole thing is over, and we know the Houston Texans are going to have to be rebuilding. And again, this next story here is not a story we wanted to talk, or I wanted to ever think about, what I ever wanted to talk about. But unfortunately, this past couple of days, NFL star Vincent Jackson was found dead in his hotel room. So now, folks, this really does give me a concern, because I don't know what happened. So I'm not here to pass any judgment on him. I'm not here to say what he did or didn't do. Because, again, I don't know the evidence. I don't know the facts. It was reported that he was found dead in his hotel room. What really gets me a question here, folks, not about about this investigation or whatever, is that when you really read the article, it talks about they filed a missing persons report on Vincent Jackson not even 2 weeks before that, before he was reported dead in his hotel room. First of all, why was he reported missing? Why was there a missing persons report? That's what I really want to know. Again, I'm not saying he's a bad dude. I'm not saying he's this or an after that. I'm not here to judge him. I'm not here to place anything on him. But it raises questions. Number one, why was there a missing persons report? And then a week or two later, he was found dead in his hotel room. Again, there's so many questions. Again, there's so many things. But again, I want to really highlight that. We're not going to highlight, oh, he did this or oh, he did that. I want to highlight what he did in the NFL. What he did with the Chargers. You playing with Phillip Rivers. You play with Darren Sproles. Doing what you did for a little bit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with Jameis Winston. with Doug Martin, guys you tend to forget about. He was a great receiver in the NFL. Obviously, the numbers aren't Hall of Fame numbers, but that didn't matter to him. Phenomenal receiver in the NFL, great route runner, great human being in the community for San Diego and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's really what matters, not what you did on the field. You can get the most amount of rings, but how do you make the biggest impact on the field? That's exactly what matters to me. That's exactly what Vincent Jackson done. Except for right now, I would rather people remember that. And moving forward, we'll see what happens. Again, I don't know anything, so I'm not going to accuse him. I'm not going to judge him. I don't have any facts, so I am not going to make anything up just for clicks, just for views. I don't do that. I'm going to get to the truth. Isaiah, good point here. Don't forget the chapel and stuff. Talking about the Houston Texans. When the Houston Texans granted J.J. Watt's request to demand a release, there has been some reports, again, reportedly, that the chaplain that is now the main guy for the Houston Texans is now backstabbing people. It is now, when they were going to hire somebody else, and say, oh, if he did that, then they would fire him. Folks, the reason why that bugs me is because there are good, honest chaplains out there in the NFL that I've talked to behind the scenes that are great dudes. But if this is true, this really makes you wonder. Number one, what is your motive for working in the NFL? If you're going to be a chaplain, again, I'm not here to say that I know better than a pastor or a chaplain. No. But what I'm saying is that if this story is true, what does it gain to backstab an organization? Potentially. I'm saying potentially because I don't have the facts. What does it gain to potentially backstab an organization? What does it gain to go behind players' backs and go behind Deshaun Watson's back? What does it gain to have a once-in-a-lifetime talent in Deshaun Watson, who's not most likely up until this point will not finish out his rookie contract? He wants at least more input in the organization. He's not saying, I want final say. Deshaun Watson is saying he wants at least more input. Look what I've done for the city. Off the field, but more also, look what I've done. Look what Deshaun Watson has done on the field. He had a career year. Do you hear him complaining about the drama in the organization? Does that affect his play on the field? Does that affect his leadership on or off the field? No. So I do believe Deshaun Watson does deserve some input. But if this is the case, keyword, I'm saying if because I don't have all the facts, but if this is true about the chaplain, keyword, if this is true, this really does bother me because I believe there are good chaplains in the NFL. Again, if people are looking at chaplains in the NFL, I don't want it to look at potentially one bad apple. Keyword, one bad apple to let it ruin the perception of other chaplains in the NFL. Again, I'm not saying this is true or not. I don't have the evidence. But what I am saying is that if this is the case, like I say with Christianity or anything else, don't let one potential, keyword potential, or if bad person ruin your viewpoint on chaplain. Because I have talked with the chaplain's Chargers chaplain behind the scenes, and he's a phenomenal dude, and I have nothing but respect for him. But if this is the case, I'm disappointed because when you have a guy like that, when you're power hungry, again, I'm not saying he's power hungry. I'm saying if, because I'm not here to accuse him. I don't have the facts. I'm just saying that over and over so people don't get on my case. If this is the case, when somebody's power hungry, nothing people say, nothing people do is going to stop you here. And this is what really concerns me. If this is the case with the chaplain, and it goes back to the ownership, the owner has final say. The owner can fire you. The owner can demolish you. You can be gone out of a job. So something is telling me I'm not saying with the chaplain or not. Again, if I don't have any of the facts, but something is telling me here, folks, that there's lies going around in the entire organization. There's more drama going around in the entire organization behind the scenes than we are being let on. When you have stories like this, When you have drama stories like this, there's more behind the scenes that is happening than we realize. And that's what scares me here, folks, is if there's so many last, and if Deshaun Watson in just reports is getting frustrated, how long do you really think it's going to last? Do I blame all on Chaplin? I'm not going to say yes or no because, again, I don't have all the facts. I'm not here to just berate him. I don't have the facts. Let me make that very clear. So if anybody tries to troll me, no, I don't have all the facts. Let me make that clear. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But if this is true, we're going to have a conversation in another day. But, folks, the Houston Texans, clearly the owner does not care about the players. The one thing that remains mysterious with me, what happened to Brian Cushing? We never heard about him retiring. We never heard about him getting released. That, for me, just swept under the rug. There's so many things over the years with the Houston Texans. I just have too many questions, and I don't think we have enough time to answer any of those at all. But, folks, this last one here before we get into one of the last two topics. The Chicago Bears are the front runners to get Carson Wentz, and I am so happy. I did not want Carson Wentz to come to the Denver Broncos. I was going to give up all of my root beers. I was going to give up all of my Powerades. I would give up my AirPods, this bag right here. I would give up all my scripts from this past year. There's absolutely no way I ever wanted Carson Wentz. And again, we all say this for the same reason.
Me too, man. Me too. Not on my Niners. Hell no.
Also, the fact of the matter is, though, is the only thing, like everybody else has said, his injuries. That's the problem. Is I don't know what the injuries or what that thing is, but when you have some quarterbacks in the NFL, after you have that one catastrophic injury, despite you potential coming back, despite you wanting to come back, sometimes it just doesn't happen. Not because you're weak, not because you're a coward, but because you cannot trust Carson Wentz to be healthy. And when the rumors were coming out about my Broncos potentially wanting to get Carson Wentz, I would have disowned my team. I would have become just a regular NFL fan. Again, I'm not going to root for any team. I would just been a current NFL fan like I always am. But the Chicago Bears are reportedly giving up, I believe, 2 first-round picks and potentially David Montgomery. Because unless the tweet was deleted, on David Montgomery's Twitter was talking about how it's been fun, it's been a ride. Thank you all for everything. And when a player hints at something like that, I don't believe we should take that lightly here. I hope he can pull the tweet. Maybe I am wrong on that, but we saw that with Stephon Diggs with Minnesota. He had that little wink and had that little tweet, and boom, boom, boom. And Antonio Brown was supposed to go to the Bills, and now Stephon Diggs is with the Bills and had a career year. So do not take that tweet lightly. But if the Chicago Bears are giving up 2 first-round picks in David Montgomery, who is your bread and butter of your team in terms of the offense, you deserve to lose. Not all redheads stick together. I don't care what anybody else tells you. You're going to tell me Chicago, front office right here, that Carson Wentz, you're convinced of Carson Wentz to be your starting quarterback. You are convinced that Carson Wentz can stay healthy. It blows my mind. I don't understand what Chicago is doing, but why would I be surprised? They're the same organization that gave the fat contract to Jay Cutler. To the same organization that right now is most likely going to trade Allen Robinson. So if you have a star like Allen Robinson and you're going to trade him or release him to get Carson Wentz, and you were concerned about Carson Wentz last year because they didn't have the weapons or the offensive line, but you go to an organization that trades away their only weapon and they don't have the offensive line, what do you think is going to happen? Khalil Mack's contract is going to go higher against the cap. So many different issues. Matt Nagy is there next year, and Matt Nagy, the Bears, I put this on me. You deserve to be fired. Your offense is plain. It is boring. You go in 2018, Chicago goes 12, I believe 11-5, 12-4. Mitchell Trubisky looks like a good quarterback. It looks great. Go to 2019, 8-8. What's the problem now? They trade Nick Foles for a 5th-round pick. Go to 2020, 8-8. If the Chicago Bears are really sold on Carson Wentz, tell y'all there are 2 things. Buyer beware. Number 2, y'all deserve to lose. But Isaiah, I really want to hear what you have to say.
First of all, the Chicago Bears. I mean, the gift that keeps on giving. Oh my gosh. Sorry about this, Callan, but trading 2 first-round picks and David Montgomery for an injury-prone Carson Wentz. Ryan Pace should be fired on the spot if he does that. Matt Nagy should be fired on the spot if they do that. I mean, forget even fired on the spot. If they propose that trade to the Bears owner, they should be fired at that point. I mean, my God, that is like the dumbest deal I have ever seen in my life, but that is such a stupid deal, and I feel bad for Bears fans everywhere. I feel bad for Callan, man, and man, this is why the Bears continue to be the Bears. I mean, very cheap organization that just always opts for just minimal improvement at whatever position that they need to upgrade. That's just who the Bears are, and that's why the Bears, no offense, will not be going anywhere anytime soon. But I had something I needed to add, and it wasn't about your point here, John. It was about your last point on those Phoenix Suns, which I am still trying to get wasted off a little bit of champagne.
What was that about an overrated team and overrated Devin Booker?
Monty Williams needs to be put on suspension for the next 2 weeks. How on earth, in the final 7 minutes of the game, when the Phoenix Suns are up 15 points, how does Devin Booker take only 1 shot? It's absolutely inexcusable. Devin Booker is your best player on your team. In fact, you should just tell Chris Paul to go away, to go on the side. Tell Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, and DeAndre Ayton to just go on the side and just get the rebound. Give Devin Booker the ball and let him just shoot. He is your best player, and for him to just shoot 1 time in the final 7 minutes, you deserve to lose that game, Phoenix. You should be ashamed of yourself, Monty Williams.
Now, this is a team that is not really known for defense, but what is up, Steven? I heard that you kicked some butt on one of your midterms.
Yes, sir. I did not expect to be able to make the stream tonight. I thought I'd be staying up late at night finishing that midterm, but I indeed finished it. I bounced back with an 80% on that midterm. What's up, Chardol? It's good to see you as well, man. And I just got to say, man, John, 1 year anniversary. Keep at it. You've been a great addition to the MI6 Sports Network. We love your sports takes. We love your Kellerman personality. And most of all, we love my members-only jacket right here. And I got something else for you guys.
Oh, boy.
What I want, you've got, and it might be hard to handle, but like a flame.
He's muted here, folks.
Yeah, you making my dreams come true. Yeah, man, we making your dreams come true with the MI6 Sports Network with the 1 year anniversary and with the best jacket on planet Earth, the Looney Tunes members only jacket.
Of course, I always appreciate y'all coming on, but kind of like what I was telling people, it's not like an industry where you can pick the hours you want. You're going to be working a full-time job until this pays off. And like I said, there's 2 categories. There's people that want to do it for the money, the fame, the women, the whatever else, the views, the likes. And there's people like some people over here that do it because they love it. And that's where I think people get burnt out, where people quit. You see that with YouTubers or content creators. If you're doing it for the views, you need to leave. Because, bro, June of last year, I almost quit. I almost was going to give up and just kind of really see what happens. And that's why I was talking about with one of my friends earlier, is that they were just being truly and brutally honest. But, Steven, I think Isaiah sent this video to the wrong group chat, so I thought I would share it with you.
Hi, Mary. How you doing today? You doing good? Look, it's a beautiful Monday morning.
He quickly deleted it, folks, and I really want to know, Isaiah. You're on the spotlight here. What group chat were you sending that to?
First of all, even though that was very embarrassing, it probably
Yeah,
wasn't
you're a
the most
22-year-old grown man talking
it
to a
probably
teddy bear.
wasn't the most embarrassing moment of my
Or that one. Or
well if you guys knew what happened the last or this past weekend, then you guys would think that would be more embarrassing. But the
no,
thing with
look what James has to say. I agree. I don't know about that video with Mary, Isaiah.
first of all, that
James,
thing with
you're right.
I was trying to send that to my friend Ashwin.
Why
And
were you even taking that video in the first place? I can understand maybe if a different situation, but you're a 22-year-old grown man talking to.
Hi, Mary.
Lord.
And it wasn't just that; it's the way you talk to it. Like you were talking. Just even bounce. It's like you were talking to a child. And again, you do what you want, but when you make it public, you took away the right to not embarrass yourself. But excuse me, last year.
Hey, I'll say this though, it wasn't the most embarrassing thing that I did this past weekend, believe it or not.
Well, if you want to discuss,
Callan, I honestly think that I will cakewalk through everyone in this league,
and you also, like I said on the show tonight, you wanted to extend it to a 16 playoff because you knew that your team was terrible, but you talked all the trash and could not back it up. Again, that video right there, what is the context of that one? Was it fantasy football or what was that?
That was basically a face palm for, my record, my atrocious record in the MI6 Sports Network Yahoo Fantasy Basketball League, which currently I am 3-5 in right now, and I am trying to pull up the matchup that I've got right now.
Wait, so no, you were hitting
I don't
your
know if you
head
guys
on
can
the
see
pillow.
it, but
Wait, you're telling me you're 3-5? That's not bad for a cakewalk, isn't it?
can you guys see that right there?
Yeah,
I am Vogel's Lake Show, and I'm getting blown out by Boston Block. So probably will be 3-6 after this week. So it's embarrassment, man. It's an embarrassment. Oh God.
And we also have another good one here. Again, thank you so much, Callum, for coming on. Callum, this one right here, he sent it to the wrong group chat, and I'm so glad he did.
Hi, Mary. How you doing today? You doing good?
Callum, you've known him longer than I have. I don't know what group chat he's a part of. That's just very I have no words.
Back to the champagne.
Bro, you couldn't handle a fruity beer. I mean, look. So nice try, buddy. Oh, I love it. Isaiah, you're 22 years old. You're not 2 years old. Shardo Gupta is calling you on that one, dude. 2020, 1 year anniversary. So he says, stop making videos like that. Again, I agree with that. But kind of like saying earlier with people that are just now tuning in, it's like the reason why I was showing some of these clips earlier of like the quick 3 to 4 minutes of my favorite moments was because I really hoped that it would inspire people. Like I said, people before, this is not a 9-to-5 job. While you're working on in the sports industry, you're going to be working full time. It's not like you put 1 to 2 episodes out there and you're Skip Bayless. I've already put out almost 300 plus episodes, but it's still not there. But that's not a bad thing. Like I was telling other people, accounts, like there's 2 categories of people. You're doing it for the views, the likes, the money, the fame, the women, the sex. Or you got over here, you have the people that truly love sports and really want to talk about it. And if people are on this side, they're going to get burnt out very quick and they're not going to make it. But what I really learned was what handles or how some people make it in the sports industry is how you handle the rejections. I love this one. Isaiah, you are so childish. Again, hey, I watch SpongeBob. I'm not here to get mad at that one. But again, it's how you handle the rejections in terms of internships, in terms of jobs, which is why I showed this. I'm not here to boast myself. I don't care if anybody knows I got the job at Fox Sports or not. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm on the show. because if you get frustrated the first 3 to 4 rejections, imagine 20 to 30 from now. Do you know how many people I've reached out to? That's the reason why I post that. Not to brag on myself because, oh, I'm so patient. It's because this is why some people, I believe, don't make it, or after college, they quit. Because 200 plus people in DMs, emails, if I quit after half of that, I would regret it. Because June of last year, I almost quit the sports industry and probably would have done heck knows what. But I tell people, you never know off of one message what is going to happen. And I think the biggest obstacle was probably getting the first 100 views on the podcast. Because I've told people before, if you look at my early stuff, it's cringeworthy. It's terrible. If I would compare my early podcast stuff to a sport, I love this one right here. I love it, man. But really, it's if I were to compare my early podcast stuff to a sports broadcaster on the MI6 Sports Network, we won't say any names. Isaiah, you got it, dude. It would be Isaiah. Because it is so bad, it is so cringeworthy. It is like a car crash. You want to look away, but you know you can't. And at the same time, if you do look away, are you going to miss something? It was so bad, I would pay people not to listen to it. Like, it was so cringeworthy. I was talking too quietly. The music was playing too loud. But I do appreciate all of you, like I said, the opportunity. Because, again, who knew I was going to be here? I sent one Facebook message about back in March to some random group, and now we're here. And I think that's the thing about the sports industry. Like I says, one message to a guest or one DM or one email could change things. And I'm not saying that to give people false hope, but I'm saying that because to get people motivated, but also I'm here to be real with people. I'm not here to say I pretend like I made it. I'm not here to say I pretend like I'm skate best. I'm not here to be anything. And here to be my own and maybe here to be better. But I'm not here to compare myself to anybody. Isaiah, what you got?
Yeah, I just want to echo that as well. The last, I would say, 11 months that since I've started, doing these podcasts every single day, what I've learned is basically, first of all, just don't be afraid to be yourself. I mean, you have to be yourself in this industry. You cannot be like I can't try to be like Callan, or I can't try to be like Stephen A. Smith, or I can't try to be like Max Kellerman or whomever. You just gotta be yourself. And if you are afraid to be yourself, you're not going to be able to make it, not only in this industry, but in any industry if you try to be someone else. So that's like the number one thing that I've learned. And also, just don't be scared. Like, I know a lot of people that that are trying to get into this industry, they're scared to be like, not be themselves, but they're scared to put their stuff out there. That's what I've learned. And I was kind of scared in the beginning because I was very outlandish and bold, like Callan and John, they know. And I was really like afraid, like, hey, what is someone going to think about, me saying, like, for example, Drew Lock is going to win MVP, or Devin Booker should go to the Lakers to team up with LeBron and AD, or whatever like that. Like, I was scared of what people were going to say at the beginning, but then after a couple of months of just doing this and watching, like, guys on ESPN, Fox, they do their thing, I was just like, yeah, just don't be afraid to put your stuff out there.
I know, Colin, you've been in the industry. You've been here for a while. What is something that you learned that you may not have realized when you first started?
Well, first of all, I'm only here for a bit, and just wanted to come in and say congrats to John on 1 year. And remember, Man in Square 2, I'm watching, even though I can't be here every night to be a part of programming. But basically, all I can say, and I've gone back and listened to several of the episodes just to kind of keep myself entertained during the time I've been away from the network and stuff of that caliber. And I was re-listening, I think, to my final thoughts from the final program I was a part of in January. And I basically just said, 12 years in the industry of where I'm at right now. And basically was the advice I think I passed along maybe on that program or before the end of 2020 was, basically you can't get flustered, and I think that's the main advice I pass along to, friends of mine that always, say I could never do your job. And they truly mean that, is that you can't get flustered. It's a thick skinned, cutthroat industry, and you can't be afraid. Just, as Isaiah said, more so, take that leap of faith, put your heart and soul into the process, and you have to kind of stick it out. I mean, reasons as to why that I've been gone, obviously is that process of, last week for the first time since who knows when. I had 6 games in 7 days. I had 1 off day and stuff of that caliber. And it's been obviously a grind and it's been busy. But as I think also today, and I think that John kind of touched base on this, is not just, not getting flustered and going through the ups and downs of the industry, is also basically that, again, you just can't get flustered. You can't get, flustered. You can't be upset. If you have one bad show, believe me, I've had plenty of bad games of getting a player or players' names wrong or getting information out the wrong way or it's not said the right way or stuff like that. And it's just one of those things you have to, just like when you lose a game, you shower it off, you get back on the horse and you do it all over again. And I think, though, John, that I think, like I've said, though, as well, is about the passion and the drive, though. And, obviously, John, like I said so many times, again, forgive me for kind of rambling here, but more so, like I had said, though, on some previous shows when I was here, though, is that I don't know if I've seen really anybody, Alcorn, even Isaiah, about having that drive to make this industry. And a lot of times when I talk to people who consider it, because I still get emails or phone calls from the broadcasting program that I graduated from about 4 or 5 years ago, about prospective students, about, I want to get into the industry and stuff like that. And I tell them about, my experience at the school. But also, it's just like, I'm going to tell you this right now, and it's probably going to be redundant, but you'll hear this throughout your career, though. You can't be flustered. You can't be, you just can't lose sleep over a bad show, a bad performance or stuff like that, because it will, in fact, happen. And also, I think the main thing, though, as well here is that this industry is demanding. It asks, for your 100% effort, whether you're feeling fully charged or your battery's at 50% or you're sick as a dog. A lot of people, obviously, it's right now not a good idea to work sick, because of the entire pandemic still brewing right now. But it does ask a lot. And I think I've found that out probably harder this year than any of my other 11 years in the industry, because the fact that I'm working games on the road, home games are being played away from my hometown. We're playing games in, Irvine, California, about 78 miles north of San Diego, and jumping on the train every morning or every afternoon and kind of living out of a suitcase, like a lot of my fellow colleagues that work in media do when they, in fact, work games for the national networks or regional games, and they're working on the road. You're in a hotel, probably by yourself for the day or for a couple of days, and you go on those long road trips, and tomorrow's going to be my 5th trip up to Irvine during the regular season, and I've gone to Anaheim for a game. I've gone to Irvine, at least 7 or 8 times already. And that's the other thing, though, as well, is you have to kind of accept that reality that you're going to be away from home. And I know that it's probably a dream of all of ours to obviously work, if you want to work in the industry, but work with, your hometown franchise or work with one of your beloved teams. And believe me, I've been very blessed and fortunate to be able to do that for the past 6 seasons with the with hockey and even with indoor soccer for 8 seasons. But then sometimes it's like, okay, now it's kind of take the show on the road. And I've, like I said, though, I've gotten like a firsthand look, though, of how, in fact, my, fellow colleagues of mine work games on the road, eating out every night, post-game drinks maybe at a bar somewhere, and, just stuff of that caliber. And I think that more so that it's probably not the best advice, because I've been kind of, changing books on you in a hurry, though, but more so is if you're out there pondering a future in journalism, pondering, a future maybe in podcasting, broadcasting, like I say, though, stay the course, have fun, stay the course, and don't get flustered when things don't go right. And like I also alluded to, I think on the New Year's Eve extravaganza on my final program, John also talks a lot about the motivating factor, the motivational factor in regards to, hey, this company said no, this athlete said no. That also, I think, is where kind of in a way, that you also get that fire and passion. For me, motivating factors is something that I had said, though, a while back during the course of my season before the shutdown happened, was I always try, though, and this is probably a good piece of advice for anyone out there, aspiring to be in the industry. Take enough time for yourself. Pre-game, post-game. Post-game more so for me is where things I can kind of put the puzzle back together. And this was a thing that former Padre great Trevor Hoffman would do after he would finish off a game for the Padres and they'd win a game and he'd get the save. He would sit in the dugout by himself for about 10, 15 minutes and put his head down, close his eyes, and think about each batter, the results, how things went, what could have been different. And in a way, that's what I kind of do after games. If I have to go back to my hotel, if I'm on my way home, is, okay, where did things go right? Where could we have improved things? More so like you look at the good, you look at the bad, the ugly, then it's like, okay, this is what I want to hammer home and get better at for next game. So, for example, I had a men's soccer match at USD tonight, and I thought to myself, okay, we probably could have done a bit better maybe on this person's name, perhaps. We could have probably done better maybe with announcing the substitutions at a better time and place. But now let's do that again when we go back next time. And I'm sure that after this weekend of these past 2 hockey games, okay, we played Colorado for the first 2 times of the year. Now we play them again Saturday. Okay, what needs to be done differently with these guys than maybe, for example, Bakersfield or Ontario or Tucson or other teams in our division and who we're playing? And not just that, though, as well as I think the one final point I'd pass along, and I'll hang out here for the rest of the program if need be, is also, I think the best part, though, as well, though, is the variety of sports, though. And I think that Courtney Cronin, I think, said this to us a long, it feels like a full eternity. But Courtney back, I think in November, I think, Isaiah, you might want to correct me on that, when Courtney joined us.
I think either in October or November, so one of those 2 months.
But either way, Courtney said it right, though. And I think also that Courtney said it best. Grant Cohn said it best. Brian Fenley said it best. And I think it's also like another piece of advice before I let John have the floor back here, is if you're also out there aspiring to be in sports journalism or sports media, don't sell yourself short and don't fixate yourself on one sport, because nowadays with so many opportunities at our disposal, and when I say our disposal, I mean mine, but also anyone out there trying to get into it, though, is there's been more and more avenues to get your feet wet in the business. It may not be the NFL, it may not be the NBA, Major League Baseball, or any big sports, though, but don't cut yourself short. I've been watching a lot of the Australian Open for tennis. I've been watching a lot of soccer, as I already would do, though, during the course of my seasons. But don't sell yourself short. But also, don't also sell yourself short, though, on what you can do, whether it's announcing, whether it's silent reporting. Don't be afraid, though, to go a different route, though, if need be. I always told myself if sports announcing wasn't going to be where I would find myself, go into writing, go into voiceover, go into different avenues that you're able to be used to your fullest abilities. And I think I have probably done a lot of that more so with my time working in the American Hockey League with the Gulls. Is yes, I do public address, but I've also done numerous voiceover works for in-game promotions or certain things that need to be done for dignitaries or stuff like that. But don't sell yourself short and don't keep yourself on a short leash, and don't be fixated on it's got to be the NFL, it's got to be Major League Baseball, it's got to be the NBA. There's other leagues out there. There's other sports out there. And it may not be, probably your favorite if you get asked to do a soccer match or do baseball or softball or do lacrosse or do tennis. But at least, though, don't sell yourself short, because especially nowadays with how there's been so many more ways that we can do games, whether it's via Facebook Live or Twitter and Periscope or via ESPN Plus or via college networks, is it may not be, like I said, though, it may not be the big bad pro sports leagues. It may not be the best college sport out there, but take every chance you are given. I don't know if I can say that enough to anyone out there aspiring to get into the field. That was actually advice given to me by the late, great Dick Enberg, who I think he called any sport you can think of. He called pro basketball, college basketball, pro and college football, baseball. Dick Enberg's advice to me came 5 years ago at the 2016 Baseball All-Star Game. And I have a book signed by him and Jim Nance both. And I asked Mr. Enberg, you've done this for who knows how long. What's the biggest piece of advice you give to anyone out there that wants to get into the sports media industry? And Mr. Enberg was signing a ball for me, which is up in my trophy case in the living room of my house. And he said, son, the word no should never be in your vocabulary if you want to make it in this industry. And his exact words were, whether you're in a big city, you're in a little city, you're getting paid big money, not getting paid any money or little money, you say yes to every single opportunity you are given. And I think that if there's one more person that I could definitely shout out about doing that as well, it's my great friend, DJ Shauner Nichols, who is one of the very few female DJs in the NBA working for the hometown Milwaukee Bucks. Shauna's the same exact way. She's going from DJing pro basketball to college games. I mean, she does, obviously bars and nightclubs and, festivals. But when I had told her that advice, though, when we had an interview a couple years ago, she said the same exact thing, though. You can't be afraid to say yes, but also, I think I also said this too during the Christmas special, maybe in December. But she basically said, though, as well, before I again let John have the floor, though, is if there's one final piece of advice that Shauna gave to me that I would give to you, though, is that if you want to get out there and do something, you got to go out there and do it. You just can't sit down at your computer desk in your, in your recliner or lay on your bed and, tweet about it or Facebook about it or go live about it on Facebook that you're going to do it. You got to go out there and make it happen, and you have got to go out there and make it happen and check those boxes off. And that's basically where I stand right now. But more so, I just wanted to pop in and say congrats to John on 1 year. And again, you and Square 2, we're watching you.
Welcome back, my friend.
Again, like I can't say that, obviously, again, thank you for coming on. But it's reiterating what you said is don't think you're too good for a certain sport. So even if I had to do like arena football league for a certain time or the minor G league for baseball or basketball, whatever it takes, like I say, I'm willing to get my foot in the door. I'm willing to scrub toilets, whatever it is, because I'm not here to say I'm better than I'm not here to say, oh, I'm too good for that. I'm not too bougie. I'm not trying to be bougie. I'm not trying to be these soccer moms that, oh my gosh, look at my person. I don't care. Whatever I can do to get my foot in the door, I'm willing to do what it takes. I'm not going to take down a job because it's not what I like, because then it gives me new experience. I learn things. Like you said, you have one bad show, you move on. I'm not willing to say I'm too good for a sport. I'm not ever going to say I'm too good for that job, because who knows whether that job can lead to the NFL, or if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Then it can give me more opportunities to have financial avenue to go to the draft or these different types of things. I'm not too good for it. I'm not too good for it at all. I mean, if anybody had that attitude, you need to quit right now because nobody is ever too good. But again, Cal, I know you had one more thing to say.
More so, John, I wanted to echo your sentiments, though, in regards to what you had said, though, about, working in certain sports, though, as well. But what I also have to say, though, as well, is it's kind of difficult when you live, breathe, eat, sleep, and think sports, though. But the other thing, though, I will have to put out there to anyone out there watching who wants a bit more about this advice, though, as well, is there's going to come a time, sadly, for every broadcaster or every aspiring broadcaster or journalist out there, and I think I've told this to Isaiah and Alcorn quite frequently, is while, of course, we live and die with sports, we live and die with our teams, and we hate certain teams, though. However, though, there comes a point, though, in everyone's career where you have to put aside your hatred for organizations because it's not a good look in regards to professionalism, in regards to, neutrality, being unbiased. That's also one thing I wanted to kind of put across, though, as well, is yes, it's one thing to root for, obviously, your hometown pride and stuff like that, though. But there does come a time, though, especially nowadays, though, guys, we have seen, though, with, people who have been blown out of jobs, and cancel culture is very, very toxic, getting worse and worse by the passing day, it seems like, is you may work for one organization, but if you say one bad thing about someone else or a different organization, don't count your chickens on staying in the industry for very much longer. So I'd also throw that out there, as well as, yeah, I know it's one thing that we love our teams and we, may hate or despise other organizations. But that's been the one big thing, though, that I think I've done probably a very great job in regards to severing that cord, in regards to, yes, I hate this organization or I don't like this organization. But there comes that time, though, where you have to realize the bigger picture of what you're doing. Like, your job is on the line every day when you're out there either sharing stuff on the web or talking about sports of this caliber. It may be difficult, but people are in fact watching and reading, and they're looking for any small little thing. I think Alcorn knows well from The Mandalorian and some cast member. They're looking for something. They're looking for something out there to just say, well, this guy said this about the Padres. Time to get rid of him, basically. And oh wait, it's looking around out there. Oh, you said something bad about this organization? Don't need you anymore. Stuff like that. So that'd be the other big piece of advice, though, is be extremely cautious. I know it sounds very, it's like a double-edged sword, though, but I know it may be difficult for those who are getting into the field, though, of, it's like, oh, good, I'm working for my favorite team. I can still, crap upon a rival organization. Sadly, you can't do that anymore. Once you pile up the credentials and you get the credentials and people know you and stuff like that, it gets very, very hairy. And that's just the one final thing I'd say, though, is, I mean, if you're out there aspiring to be a part of the field, I mean, all I say is proceed with caution. Be cautious about how you word things, how you say things, but also, especially if you're talking or covering a big rivalry game, college or the pros, be extremely cautious to not really let that, let the fan card kind of go in some capacity.
Without a doubt, I wish more people would learn that. It's reiterating also is, I'm not going to deny any employment with a team that I don't like. So obviously, if I'm a Broncos fan or a Cavs fan, I'm not going to deny employment from the Spurs. Let's say it happened for whatever reason. I'm not going to deny employment from a team I don't like. And you're right, because this team or this organization really gave you an opportunity. And people know how passionate I am about football. I woke up my parents one night because I was too loud talking about a certain football topic in a certain organization. But that couldn't be more true because, yeah, I understand, obviously be yourself, but also when you're early on trying to get in the industry, act like you're already in the industry, not in terms of your attitude or your sass, but in terms of what you say about certain athletes or what you shouldn't say about certain athletes or certain organizations, because who knows, 4 to 5 years from now, if that can break you in the butt. You have a certain sports job right now, whoever does, it can bite you in the butt. You talk garbage about this organization, this player, you have so much hatred for this player. That's why I act like I've made it already in terms of what I say. You think there are certain players or certain teams I really do not like in the NFL or NBA? Without a doubt, and I've talked about it off camera, but I'm not going to go on the web and talk about how I feel or how I hate about this organization. Because if I do get an opportunity with that organization that I talk trash about, well, we have this tweet right here. We have this video that you said this about this organization. Yeah, I'm a UT Longhorns fan. You think A&M or OU gave me an employment opportunity? You think I'm going to deny that? No, because it is a chance to get a foot in the door. So while I say, oh, I don't like OU, maybe something like that, that's fine. But and say, oh, OU's garbage, they're worse than blah, blah, blah. Act like you've been in it here just because I'm not saying act like you've been in it so you can buy this role or act like you get all these followers. You have to act like you've been in it already. Act like you've made it like Stephen Smith or somebody else. In terms of what you say about certain athletes or certain organizations, this goes to just anybody, either they're here at the network or not. It is about acting like you've been there. Because if I talked about, y'all know certain players or certain organizations I do not like. But if I were to talk about them on the air, it really would be a bad look on me, because let's say I get a potential employment opportunity with that team. Then there's always that evidence here. Here's what you said. Here's what you did. Whether you like an organization or not. If I always wrote on the internet how I felt about a certain organization or a certain team, I would never make it in the sports industry. These last two topics before we end it, I didn't expect it to be a 2-hour show, but it's really been a lot of fun. So actually, it could be about 2 to 2.5 hours. So just bear with me here. This is really the last minute. They can go. The power just came back on, so we are good to go here. But what I would love to say, what I love about the sports industry is, like I said before, I care more about building friendships. To me, if I got an opportunity tomorrow to work in the NFL, I would take that job and I would still be working here on my shows every week with the MI6 Sports Network, because it's not about the money for me. Yes, I will not deny or try to reject financial blessings, but I'm not in it for the money. And I have no reason to leave this for any amount of money. I got paid like 5 years, 60 grand a year. I would do that, and I would move my shows to the weekends. I could still do my shows on the weekends here at the Six Network, because it's about the friendships. Guys I've talked with, Rob Parker behind the scenes, and Brian Friendly, who's a great one here, Maverick Pollock, and another reporter we're going to be having on the show, I think, next weekend. So that's going to be really cool to have him on the show. Good connections, but more importantly, the friendships that are being bought. Begin count. Thank you for coming on. I know you have had a very, very busy schedule, but it does mean a lot. So I never want people to think that I'm not grateful. But what the industry has taught me, though, is like count, really just reeling and count things. Be humble. Do not think you are too good for a job. And it goes back to another point. Act like you've already been there in terms of what you say on the internet. Because if I talk trash about the Aggies, I keep going back to this is very important. If I talk trash about like A&M, oh, they're terrible, or blah blah blah. Am I the biggest fan? Maybe not, because I'm a UT fan. There's a rival there. We really have a rivalry. That's okay. But I have no ill will towards the organization. I have no ill will towards them. I wish them the best. But I'm not gonna go on the internet, whether I like them or not, and talk about how bad this organization is. Look what you did by signing this guy or this guy. Because if here comes an opportunity, and then they look at like, oh, what's your social media stuff? And they look it up. Oh, well, here's exactly what you said. Here's exactly what you did. You have to do that. Explain. But next one here is, I know it's getting kind of long here, but bear with me. Thank you all so much for watching. Why I decided to work in the sports industry really is, this will probably be weird to people, but before I used to not want to work in the sports industry. It's like you have to, like I said, put out your first video, put out your first episode. Who knows? Because I wasn't sure. Do I really want to be in the sports industry? Because I don't know how to talk well. I don't know how to get my points across. But I love football. My first ever game, like I said again and again, was the 2006 Rose Bowl, and from there, just it really got me excited about the sports industry. But the ultimate goal, in terms of a job, I would love to have my own football show on the NFL Network, which I believe that will happen one day. But number two, I would never have an attitude that I'm too good for a job. I would never have an attitude that I'm too good for a team opportunity. Any team, any sports network, in terms of the NFL, whatever, if you all give me an opportunity, I'm going to take it to the fullest extent. I'm not going to act like I am too good for the opportunity. But again, dream job, again, it'd be Fox Sports, but my dream internship for me, that would have to be easy, is having an internship at Fox Sports. This also goes back to my same thing. I know it's reiterating the same things. I'm not too good for an internship. If it means at first I have to start to scrub toilets or do this or that, that's not a problem. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the foot in the door and not having the attitude that I'm too good, not having that bougie attitude. But I really want to go into the history of the That One Dude 2020 before we end it on tonight's. Again, I can say now it's a 2-hour special, which I didn't think I could do that for 2 hours here, folks. I want to talk about the brief history here, and I not for my boast. I'm not here to brag about myself, but it's one of those where I hope when I talk about this, I hope it inspires people that you're not ever too good, that anybody can start somewhere. When I first started recording the videos March of last year and the podcast, as I started recording the podcast in February, as I started going into March, recording the videos and the podcast, recording in a hot car. Like, I'm not here to say that, oh my gosh, look what I did. No, it's not about that. It's about motivating people that really want to work in the sports industry, which is why I had this quick video right.
He's not afraid to go at people, and he
after what shows me in the car, where there's 4 to 5, 6, 10 papers out there. It's hot outside. I'm exhausted. I'm sweating because it's so hot outside. I had to blow the AC on full blast. You can barely hear me because the audio is so bad because of the AC. I use that as paper. This is a perfect example. Not for me to brag. I don't care about bragging myself. I don't want to do it, and I don't like to do that. But I hope this inspires people that want to be in the sports industry here, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 to 10 papers with tape in my car with the little mirror facing up like this so we could see it, have the phone right here recording, have the computer right next to me with 4 to 5 tabs open. And this is the reason why that I hope this inspires people. What to say, I know you have one more thing before you have to head out, but again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man. Glad to be on tonight. Happy 1-year anniversary, man. It's been a great ride thus far, and I know that you're going to continue to do great things moving forward. But the one thing that I had to say, basically as my final thought, is it was such a great program tonight. So glad that I could come on, Steven could come on, and even Callan McClure could come on for the first time in what seems like 15 years. But it was a great show tonight. Thanks for having me on the show. Make sure you guys, tune in tomorrow. Wild Sports Talk with myself, Freddie, and John Mathis is going to be so much fun tomorrow. Can't wait to get that show on the road. And also, I just want to say this last thing before I head out, and that is, I'm just so thankful for, everybody here at the MI6 Sports Network. I said this the other day. I think it was the Valentine's Day episode that we did on Sunday. When we did like the 3 things about the sports world that you love. And one of my things about the sports world that I love was, this MI6 Sports Network that we've created. The last year, 2020, has been extremely tough for everybody with COVID and people losing jobs and, people not being able to pay rent and losing their homes and stuff like that, and a lot of deaths. But for me, I would say this network and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to echo this as well. For me, this network has been the one big shining light out of this entire devastating 2020 year and also 2021 as well. You know, I would say like I was really lost in terms of what I wanted to do in my career. I know I wanted to do something in sports, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do when it came to the sports industry, whether it was going into coaching, whether it was, you know, going into journalism, going into media, going and becoming like a future GM and pursuing that. Like I wanted to do like something in sports. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And um I felt like the COVID shutdown was a blessing in disguise, and it gave me the opportunity to find what I truly wanted to do, and that was, you know, go into sports media and just give outlandish, bold takes that I do for a living, and it's just so much fun, man. And you know, I think you guys all know how this network was created. It's been well documented that me and Steven created this network at basically like the last place you would ever think a sports network was created. And that was at a line, or while we were waiting in line to get gas at a Costco gas station. And you know, from that point on to see where we gone from that point to quarantine chats and me, Trevor, Steven, and Ryan just sitting down like every Thursdays and Fridays to do shows 2 times a week, to, you know, see where we were at July when Callan and John Mathis came aboard, when we were only hovering barely at 1,000 plus likes on Facebook and 1,200 plus followers on Facebook, to see where we are from that point to, you know, now where we have over like 4,000 plus likes on Facebook, over 4,000 plus followers on Facebook as well, with over 3,400 plus listens on Anchor. And we've got like a whole team here in the network with me, John Mathis, Callan, Trevor, Furman, Sammy Sharp, Ryan, Steven, Martin. We have like a whole like team now with this network. Everybody just puts in excellent work to make the network what it is right now, and it's just truly like humbling, and it's truly surreal to see what like the network has become in the short months that we've done so far. And I know that this network's gonna keep on going. It's gonna keep reaching great heights. And like I said on Sunday, we are just scratching the surface, people. We have a long way to go. We are just scratching the surface. There's going to be a lot more great things happening on the MI6 Sports Network, and I can't wait to be part of the great stuff that we've got in the coming weeks and months to come.
Without a doubt, and again, thank you for coming on the Callan and to Steven. And before we kind of move forward, I did forget one guest that did come on my show, and I apologize, was Mike Corey, who does college football analyst play-by-play. Phenomenal dude. Being able to keep in touch with him behind the scenes. He's one of those guys, like I said, I feel like I say with all these, but for me it's true. You want them in your life either as a friend, or just to be there and talk to them and their knowledge of the sports world. But really talk about this before I go into tonight's final thoughts. I talk about it because, not to brag on myself, again, I don't care about that. I hope this inspires people. Before, when I recorded in the hot car, again, peace, Isaiah, again, recording in the hot car, in the heat, when it had a hoodie on, it's hot outside, COVID. But before I knew anybody, again, I don't take any credit for the success of my show. I do not. All right, the sports, all of this, is that in the beginning, in the first few episodes, when it was hot outside, you had 5 to 10 papers out there, and there's more papers down below, and you have your phone recording way over here, trying to figure out, what do you do next? What do you do there? Learning how to adapt to what kind of technology you have at that time was the huge lesson to learn. For I had to record the YouTube version, then the Facebook Live, then the podcast version. Then you can put them out all at once. It was a pain in the butt. But I can promise y'all, It was without a doubt worth it. February 15th, that photo you're seeing right there, February 15th, 2020. Right where I'm recording right now is where the first ever podcast of the Sports Queer, That One Dude 2020, recording that podcast about this time a little over a year ago, not knowing where it would go. And again, that's the beauty part. So you never know where this is going to take you. That's what I love about the sports world. There is a lot of uncertainty. Let me make that very abundant clear. But I know I was passionate about this even back in the day. I was like, man, I really like that photo right there. It'd be cool to have me on a radio show. Who knows how that is going to happen? But again, I hope anything that I talked about tonight really inspired people, but was honest. That literally anybody that wants to work in the sports industry, go for it. But mind you, it is cutthroat. There can be a lot of rejections, and how you handle the rejections will show you how far or how little or how you will not make it into the sports industry. But with that being said, let's go to tonight's final thoughts. Again, it's a 2-hour espresso. Didn't expect it to be this long, but there's just so much to talk about. I really wanted to use this as to thank you to each and every person that's ever viewed the content on to the show. And I also want to thank every single guest that's ever come onto the show. So mind you, it's going to take me a second, but I want to make sure I don't forget anybody. Mike Corey, you have Casey McKinney, Adam Rich, Mike Corey, the play-by-play analyst here. And you got Maverick Pollock, you got Carson Palmer, you have Rob Parker, you have Paul Gallant, you have Brian Finley, like I said, Maverick Pollock, you had Benjamin Albright, a Broncos reporter. So many guests that I've had, and more guests that are coming onto the show very soon. So I didn't want to forget anybody. I got to read one comment here before we end on tonight's show. Shout out to Jessica Parker, daughter of the Bills owner, and Terry, whatever the last name is, on an amazing, unbelievable Cinderella like run in the Usher Open. All of that. Again, keep it up. The hard work we can, without a doubt, appreciate it. Again, James Gonzalez says, congrats, man. Again, thank you for tuning in. It does mean a lot. Thank you so much for the support, and it does mean a lot. It does not go unnoticed. But with that being said, this is That One Dude 2020, the 1 year special. Have a good one, y'all. Stay safe, and we'll speak with y'all again very soon. Next weekend, a potential special guest. We'll speak with y'all again soon. Have a good one. Peace. The Broncos are going to lose today. Never was nothing special. Small. 49ers are biased on KD. That is a stupid idea. No. If I can't take it when my team, I'll give the Colts the benefit of the doubt. Madden 21 was so bad.
I'm gonna show last time I'm getting my body.
Has he played? Has he started in the drive? To tell you. Tag him on Instagram. Second, and all these tantrums. I could have. Foreman coming out of Texas.
Truly appreciate the offer.